Warm up the transmission fluid by idling or driving the vehicle. Raise the vehicle and ensuring that it is level and stable. Do a visual inspection for leaks from the transmission. Most transaxles have drain plugs fitted to them that are easily accessible. However, some require that a housing be removed in order to drain the oil. Other types do not have drain plugs and require a suction pump to draw out the lubricant by hand from the filling point. Consult the shop manual for correct procedures for draining the fluid on the vehicle you are working on. Be careful because the lubricant can be hot enough to burn. Locate the position of the drain plug and remove any guard covers if necessary. Select the correct wrench and loosen the plug. Position a large diameter drain pan under the transmission. Clean the plug and then remove it. In the case of an automatic transmission, if there is no drain plug, loosen all the transmission pan bolts with the correct wrench and remove all but 3, the minimum necessary to hold the pan in place. Fluid will flow into the drain pan. Once the fluid stops flowing from the bolt holes, support the transmission pan with one hand and remove the remaining bolts to drain the remaining oil. Look for metal in the fluid, which looks like shiny particles or flakes. If the transmission has been overfilled during service, it could have caused internal damage to components. Also inspect the transmission pan and the residue in it. A small amount of metal deposits is normal, but a buildup could signal excessive transmission wear. If you find larger pieces of metal or clutch material that looks a lot like brake lining material in the case of an automatic transmission, have your supervisor come and inspect it. It is good practice to keep these larger particles in case the owner wants to see them. With an automatic transmission, carefully remove the oil pan gasket. Don't use a sharp tool that could damage the sealing surface. Clean the pan with a lint-free cloth and remove the transmission filter. Filters and screens may be held in place by several screws of varying sizes. Be careful to note any size differences of the screws so you can reinstall them in the correct position. If you have a paper or cotton filter in the transmission, it must be changed every time you change the transmission fluid. Metal filters can be cleaned with solvent or a spray cleaner and reused after air drying. Install the new filter on the valve body as described in the shop manual. Place the new gasket on the sealing surface of the fluid pan. Apply the manufacturer's recommended sealant to the gasket if needed. Replace the transmission or sump pan and tighten the bolts to the manufacturer's specified torque. Over-tightening the bolts may damage the gasket and/or the sealing surfaces. After the lubricant is completely drained, clean the drain plug. Put the drain plug back with a new washer. Use a torque wrench to make sure the torque is correct. Check the shop manual's lubrication guide for the correct replacement fluid specification and the correct quantity. If the filling location is under the hood, you will need to lower the vehicle. Clean the nozzle of a lubricant pump with a clean, lint-free rag or paper towel. Use the pump to put new transmission oil into the filler hole or dipstick tube opening. Pause for a few seconds after each pump to give the lubricant time to flow to the bottom. Stop when the lubricant reaches the bottom of the filler plug hole or to the top of the cold mark on the dipstick. In the case of an automatic transmission, start the engine. Apply the foot brake and move the transmission selector through all the gear selections. This will allow all the cavities in the transmission to fill with new fluid. Place the transmission in the correct gear for fluid checking. Check the new fluid level, adjust if necessary, and replace the dipstick or filler plug.